a mí en Facebook en Juan Guevara TV, en Instagram y en Twitter en Juan Tech TV. Soy Juan de Dios Guevara, su experto en tecnología. Les agradecemos el favor de su atención y aquí nos vemos y nos escuchamos la próxima semana. Que tenga usted una excelente semana y aquí nos vemos después. La próxima semana, ya lo dije, ni modo, así es. Bye.
Chao.
Y pierna de cerdo con hueso congelada, $49.90 el kilo. Julio regalado solo en Soriana. Agosto 2. Consulta restricciones en soriana.com.
Heraldo Radio, con la H que sí suena y ahora también se escucha.
Invisible money mined out of thin air. So what is cryptocurrency and how does it work? Why has crypto's market value been a series of peaks and valleys? Plus, environmentalists warn crypto's creation destroys the planet. Now, the inside story. Crypto's currency.
Hi, I'm Michelle Quinn, VOA's Silicon Valley Bureau Chief, here overlooking the San Francisco Bay with the Golden Gate Bridge behind me. Across the bay, San Francisco's skyline is populated with the world's technology giants. The city is the unofficial capital of Silicon Valley that has birthed tech giants like Google and Facebook. It is also home to burgeoning cryptocurrency companies like Coinbase, among many others. Like the tech giants that surround them, the crypto companies hope to change the world. So we're going to take you inside cryptocurrency, how it's mined, how it's used, how it gains and loses value, and the impact crypto mining is having on the environment. Recent fluctuation in values has raised concern among consumers about crypto's risks, but many investors are enthusiastic about the potential digital currency offers. James Wisdom, a Chicago art instructor and tattoo artist, regularly goes to his local grocery store to buy Bitcoin, also known by its trading symbol BTC.
Being able to go to CoinMe and buy BTC, especially where I get my groceries, is, I think, the future of capitalism.
While cryptocurrencies are not widely used to buy things, that has not curtailed their appeal.
But part of the beauty of Bitcoin and crypto is it gives access to global finances, to buying and selling, to transferring value instantaneously no matter where you are.
Crypto has inspired many first-time investors, especially those skeptical of traditional investing.
For newbies, I tell them, you should not speculate. Decide not to buy Starbucks for a week. Whatever that amount is, that's what you should start your investment in, right? And then learn.
Steve Leakey told his parents to invest in crypto when he was 10 years old.
Yeah, still pretty young.
His parents didn't take his advice, but Steve's uncle was buying crypto, so he did too. Riding the crypto roller coaster wasn't easy.
It was super hard because every day I found myself checking it, found myself looking where I'm at, and just that mental toll was a lot.
Government regulators are raising alarms about scams and investors who have lost millions.
There are elements in the crypto sphere that are designed expressly to take advantage of consumers.
I believe, you know what I mean? I believe, and I'm gonna hold on to what I have now.
Crypto supporters and skeptics are waiting to see what government regulators may do next. For many, digital currency represents a shift in how to think about your finances, from daily transactions to long-term savings and investments. To try to break down the opportunities and the barriers, I came here to the University of California, Berkeley, to speak to Professor Christine Parleur at the Haas School of Business about the challenges of making cryptocurrency user-friendly.
Cryptocurrencies are just digital ways of transferring value and information. That's sort of the way to think about them. The whole crypto and the currency part is just almost like a marketing ploy. These are not currencies.
But what's another way? Is there some easy way to think about it? Like what I can do with it or think about it or...
One way to think about them, and it's kind of a little bit simplistic because these can be complicated and they can cover a wide variety of things, is think about airline miles. So airline miles are something that airlines give you that are valuable. Well, they could be digitized, and if they could be traded and transferred in a very easy way, then they kind of look a little bit like some of the cryptocurrencies out there. They're a claim to something, they represent something, and they can be moved around very easily from person to person. One of the ways in which cryptocurrencies are being used is essentially being used as a payment method. So we think of payments as essentially being sort of just we just pay for stuff. We just don't really think about the backstory, what's behind it, how much it costs. Things like credit cards, even if you don't run up a debt, actually are super expensive. Why? Because the merchants are paying between 2%, 10%, whatever, to the credit card companies, and ultimately those come back into the prices that you pay. So one of the innovations that we're seeing in cryptocurrencies, this whole class of things called stablecoins, are basically designed as a way of very, very cheap payment rails. They're also designed to transfer money internationally at really low cost. A lot of people send remittances, so they go and they work in a foreign country and they send money back to family, grandmother, whatever. These are really, really expensive remittance rails, and we're talking about essentially a tax on people who don't have a lot of money. So one of the potential innovations, in crypto is just to reduce the cost of transferring value through these things called stablecoins.
A lot of people have invested and have lost in the past, particularly the past 4 months. How do you look at that in terms of kind of what it means for people, or also what it means for the trajectory of cryptocurrency?
So the technology is not going anywhere. So it's not something that's just going to explode and poof and we move on to something else. It's here to stay, one. Two, if you think about most of the ventures that cryptocurrencies are based on, so typically cryptocurrency is issued in the context of some little enterprise out there. These are typically quite small. So the types of returns that you should expect and the success rates that you should expect are much more similar to things like venture capital. And we know that venture capital returns, there are a couple of really, really big hits. Wow, I invested in Google. But there are gazillion companies that just go belly up. And so cryptocurrencies have really that kind of risk return profile. So that's a very, very specific, that's how you should sort of think about them as opposed to, say, equities, which are based on cash flows.
What do you think about the ability of cryptocurrency to bring more people into the have financial tools?
So the line between cryptocurrency and general digital innovation is a little bit kind of fuzzy. If you think about, say, for example, the success of Bcash in Bangladesh, it has been absolutely astounding. This is a digital, essentially a phone-based way of transferring value. It was backed by essentially the central bank. The adoption has just been absolutely exponential. And many, many people who previously it was too expensive for them to enter into the traditional banking system now can do it essentially through smartphones or phones, not smartphones. And so we see more and more examples of this, using technology to let people have access to very, very needed financial services.
So this is our facility here in Niagara Falls, New York. We're converting this facility from what was an industrial building to a data center to mine Bitcoin. At the time, this factory was being used to actually strip down for scrap metal. Prior to that, this was actually a power generation plant where they were using coal and fossil fuels to generate, unfortunately, dirty power at the time. Block Fusion is a blockchain infrastructure company that uses renewable energy. At the facility, we actually mine Bitcoin. So traditionally, people would think about mining Bitcoin or like mining a resource, right? Very expensive equipment, guys with hard hats underneath the earth trying to get resources. In this particular case, we're mining Bitcoin, and while we are leveraging a expensive hardware to do so, the resource is really about how quickly you can actually solve a particular algorithm, a mathematical equation on the blockchain to be able to go and obtain 1 Bitcoin. And now I'm going to take you into our Bitcoin mining facility where you'll see the hardware actually processing and mining for Bitcoin. This is our control room, just before you actually go into the mining facility itself. So I'm about to put some headphones on just because it's extremely loud in the mining facility. So I'm going to show you the miners themselves. These are not individuals mining, you'll see the actual computers themselves. And then I'll take you into the exhaust room. You'll see we'll be in the hot and the cold aisles. So the hot aisle where it expels all the hot air, and the cold aisle which has the cold air go through the actual computers themselves and the fans to expel the exhaust. One of the things that I wanted to talk about was each one of these computers do not work individually. They actually work together. They pool together the resources and the processing power like a supercomputer to be able to do the algorithms to actually be able to mine 1 Bitcoin. The total miners that we have here at the facility is about 2,600. We actually anticipate that by the time we build out the entire facility, we'll be somewhere between 12,500 to 15,000 units. This facility here in Niagara Falls, we are 5 miles away from the Robert Moses Hydro Plant. Absolutely critical for us when we chose this location that if we were going to consume energy, we wanted to make sure that it was renewable. So as we're looking at building this facility out into a data center, that was a critical factor in our decision making. So the Robert Moses Hydroelectric Plant is the 4th largest hydroelectric plant in America. We're in Zone A. Our property is located in Zone A, which is about 5 miles from the actual dam itself and the plant. So we're in an ideal location to actually have most, if not all of our energy being supplied from that particular plant. One of the things that we do at the facility, especially when there's actually peak usage for power within the particular region, is we're enrolled in what's called demand response. So that's where if the grid themselves require more power back, we'll actually shut down our operations or curtail it back to actually provide that power back to the local community as required.
Crypto's emergence as a viable industry has many of America's states vying for a chunk of it, hoping it produces jobs for its residents. Central Texas is home to the largest Bitcoin mining facility in North America, and while it has produced jobs, critics warn of volatility ahead. Our Dina Mitchell takes us to Rockdale, Texas.
My dad worked there 40 years. I worked at the generating plant that was across the street.
Steve Pruitt and his family were hit hard with the closing of the aluminum smelting factory in 2008, and more recently, a power plant. More than 1,000 jobs were lost in this small Texas town. But a new industry has arrived, crypto mining. Rockdale is now home to 2 Bitcoin mining data centers. Towns across Texas are seeing mining operations set up, especially after China outlawed crypto mining. Interest in the volatile cryptocurrency market has soared in recent years, even as many have lost money trading it. Rockdale welcomes the crypto miners.
We're open for business and to come on in.
Whinstone, based in this town, is the biggest Bitcoin mining operation in North America. Chad Everett Harris, a Whinstone executive, says there are several reasons to be here.
Texas is a deregulated market. The government itself encourages it. They offer incentives and programs and job training. And then the workforce here is just incredible.
Some locals here admit they aren't too sure what crypto mining is.
I don't completely understand it 100%, and I know a lot of people the same way.
But it has brought jobs. Some hope crypto mining will tide the town over until other industries can get going.
Until you get hardcore real manufacturing, like an aluminum company smelter, you're never going to see anything close to return to the days that we had enjoyed.
The mining operators have worked to be good neighbors. Jim Gibson is the town's economic development director.
They've donated a very large community Christmas tree. They've made donations to the police department for a new drug dog.
And being known as a Bitcoin mining capital has helped the town market itself. Gibson says his phone is ringing with crypto miners interested in setting up shop.
The problem that we get in with that is electricity availability and land and time. It's anywhere from 18 to 24 months to construct a brand new substation. And most of the people who call here, they need to be up and running within 3 months.
And the immense amount of energy needed to mine cryptocurrency is an issue. Before a recent heat wave, Whinstone released this video message.
We will turn our power off. And during that time, that power that we're not using can be used in the grid itself so that it can support, 200,000 or 300,000 homes.
All the crypto activity in town inspired Gibson to take the plunge himself.
I bought a cryptocurrency, I won't say which one, and it has not performed well.
Meanwhile, Rockdale's Bitcoin mining data centers continue to hum 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Dina Mitchell for VOA News, Rockdale, Texas.
The future of cryptocurrency and its impact on the environment are raising concerns around the globe. As some nations begin to reduce the use of cryptocurrency due to the risk of surging carbon emissions, the United States continues to lead the charge in crypto mining. VOA's Matt Dibble has the story of how U.S. lawmakers are weighing the industry's rapid growth coupled with the strain on energy supplies and impact on the climate.
Cryptocurrency requires an enormous amount of electricity, which today mainly comes from burning fossil fuels. The rapidly growing industry is often cited as a threat to fighting climate change. But some crypto miners are prioritizing green energy. Soluna Computing's John Belizaire says Bitcoin mining can even help overcome economic obstacles to building more solar and wind installations.
A lot of that renewable energy is wasted. Most people don't know, but up to about 30% of the energy never makes it to the grid.
It's called curtailment. Wind farms sometimes generate more electricity than needed, an unused surplus that makes renewable energy less profitable. That's where Bitcoin mining comes in, says Belizaire.
We build flexible data centers right at the location of the power plant that absorbs that wasted energy and converts it into computing that can be ramped up or ramped down very quickly.
This data center under construction at a wind farm in West Texas will use curtailed energy for cryptocurrency and other processing work. Efficient building design means no air conditioning. In the state of Kentucky, Soluna says its data center operates only when there is abundant power, including from nearby hydroelectric plants.
There's lots of places around the world where this wasted energy issue is a real challenge. And so by bringing this new fresh revenue to the marketplace, we can see more power plants come online.
Like the wind, Bitcoin's value fluctuates wildly. For now, crypto mining is providing some fresh revenue for renewable energy in a mutually beneficial relationship. Matt Dibble for VOA News.
In Africa, the nation of Nigeria is seeing a surge in its information technology sector. Research is showing, despite the growing interest, there is a huge disparity in the number of men to women entering the IT field. VOA's Timothy Obiezu has the story from Abuja on how educating women and girls on blockchain technologies and cryptocurrency is sparking gender equality.
60-year-old Elizabeth Onaji arrives for weekly cryptocurrency training for women in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. She says she enrolled in June to learn more about blockchain technology.
I believe that this is a worldwide project or business. Nigeria should not be the odd one out. We should also key into the global trend.
Janet Cartier runs for blockchain classes. She began free blockchain education for women in 2017 and says hundreds of Nigerian women have benefited from the training.
Yes, I'm always interested in teaching women so that they can also be part of what is happening in the technology space. You understand? And then you come to see a lot of women, mothers, are interested, are already taking this blockchain technology and making life out of it. Some are housewives, some are even working.
But like in many sectors, women are underrepresented in Nigeria's technology sector. Nigeria's Statistics Bureau says less than a fifth of IT workers are women, despite major growth in the industry over the last decade. Cartier's efforts are aimed at addressing this problem. Nigeria is Africa's biggest blockchain market. In this training, she partnered with the non-profit T'Challa Foundation to teach women about an African cryptocurrency called T'Challa that was introduced in November.
T'Challa is a hero that is coming up from Africa and to save Africa. And what we're trying to say is that it's time for Africa to have a voice in the blockchain space, and also Africa to have a voice when it comes to cryptocurrency.
However, blockchain technology experts say government policies could prove a challenge.
When you speak to people about cryptocurrency, they will try to remind you the government said it's not good for us. You know, it's a big barrier, and people tend to follow that.
In February, Nigerian authorities warned citizens against cryptocurrencies, saying they were unstable, and later in October launched a digital currency known as the e-Naira. But despite the risks and odds, women like Elizabeth and Cartier will be promoting cryptocurrencies and giving access to many others. Timothy Obiezu for VOA News, Abuja, Nigeria.
As the buzz grows around crypto and NFTs, so does the amount of advice that's out there. Ardina Mitchell went to Austin, the capital of Texas, to take us inside one of the country's largest conferences for cryptocurrency and blockchain.
After 20 years on Wall Street, Akash Patel now works for an investment firm based in India, which he says trades between 100 and 200 million a day in cryptocurrency. The promise of crypto, he says, is to offset the risk inherent with government-controlled currencies.
If you're in some place like Argentina, or if you're in an African country, how do you protect yourself against your own government making bad decisions? And that's why you decide to invest in something like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
At a recent gathering of crypto fans, Adam Charles was meeting with Trek, a YouTube star he promotes, who specializes in information videos about crypto.
99% of the world population learns how to download a wallet and buy the first cryptocurrency off of YouTube, so we got to make sure it's safe and also fun. Because it ain't fun, they ain't going to watch it.
Olivia Janish, a crypto investor who works in brand strategy in Los Angeles, So she tells people to enter the crypto market based on their own comfort with risk.
Just read, listen to podcasts, educate yourselves, figure out what your comfort level with the risk is.
So how will this burgeoning industry change with this new regulation? Only time will tell. But for these crypto boosters, the future is bright. For VOA News, Dina Mitchell, Austin, Texas.
That's all for now from San Francisco. For everyone behind the scenes who produces this show, I'm Michelle Quinn. Follow me on Twitter at Michelle Quinn and follow VOA News on Instagram and Facebook. Online, stay up to date at voanews.com. Thanks for being with us. See you next week for The Inside Story.
Hey, Lily says AT&T's giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hello, my name is Charles Sanders, and I'm a personal injury attorney with the Rose Sanders Law Firm, based in Texas and with offices in Houston, Dallas, McAllen, and El Paso. We assist individuals throughout the entire state who have suffered harm due to the negligence of another person. With my experience as an insurance adjuster, I understand and I know exactly how to counter the strategies employed by insurance companies, and I'm bringing this knowledge to you. We handle a wide variety of situations, ranging from car accidents to defamation and unsafe property conditions. We are here to provide support and legal representation at no cost to you. Call us today at 713-221-3773.
As a home or business owner, it can be tough to find a painting company that you can rely on. Look no further. Hi, I'm Courtney Hughes, owner of 360 Painting West Houston, your go-to painting company for residential and commercial needs. 360 Painting's mission is simple. We want to provide you with the highest quality finish and the best painting experience possible. Our company's residential and commercial painting services are founded on 3 core values. First, quality. We ensure the use of premium paints, high quality finishes, and proven painting methods. Second, professionalism. We are committed to professional and responsive painting services. We coordinate and plan projects around your schedule and will treat your property with the utmost respect. And lastly, customer service. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority. So before laying a single brushstroke, we will make sure that we understand your vision for your home or office, and we'll do all that we can to paint that vision into reality. We strive to complete every project to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
fundaciongrupoandrade.org.mx. Da clic en donar.
En esta era digital, las tarjetas de presentación de negocio son cosa del pasado. De hecho, la mayoría de las personas que las reciben las pierden en cuestión de minutos. La videotarjeta de negocios de Now Media es un video de su negocio especialmente creado por nuestros expertos con toda su información de contacto, los productos y servicios de su negocio, y puede ser enviado de manera rápida utilizando su teléfono móvil. Cientos de negocios ya están viendo la diferencia. Llámenos hoy al 832-384-9588.
Soy Iñaki y de grande quiero ser chef. Ayúdame a seguir estudiando para cumplir mi sueño.
Haz clic y dona en fundaciongrupoandrade.org.mx.
Tu clic se convierte en un kit.
Amid the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, tens of thousands of Afghans who worked alongside the U.S. military made desperate attempts to flee.
It's really scary because brutal Taliban, they'll never forgive us.
For those able to leave, the difficult journey to permanent resettlement was just beginning.
We will stand with you just as you stood with us.
But the process is so complicated.
A year after the U.S. departure from Afghanistan, we follow the journey of several former translators for the U.S. military and those trying to help them.
I'm hoping I can track him down and maybe serve as a sponsor for him back here if he's able to come to the United States.
Why?
I loved him. I mean,
he saved our lives, or at least prevented some really bad things from happening on that and on some other occasions as well.
The Flight of the Translators, now on The Inside Story. Thanks for joining us. I'm Voice of America's Midwest correspondent, Kane Fairbaugh. During the war in Afghanistan, roughly 50,000 Afghan interpreters served alongside U.S. military forces. About 300 of them died in Afghanistan since 2001 while waiting for immigrant visas. As the Taliban closed in on securing the country amid the U.S. withdrawal, about 20,000 interpreters and family members were still attempting to reach the United States. Now, a year after the last U.S. troops left Afghanistan, we explore the difficult journey of several interpreters Voice of America had exclusive access to during and after the U.S. military left the country. We begin 20 years ago, during my first visit to Afghanistan, at the start of what would become America's longest war. The U.S. military had been in Afghanistan just a few months when I landed at Bagram Airfield in May of 2002, on a reporting assignment for the American Forces Network.
Major Brian Cole with the United States Army Reserve and the 489th Civil Affairs Battalion.
I first met Charles Brian Cole on a windswept mountain slope in rural Afghanistan, working with his Afghan interpreter, Hayadet, to deliver school supplies and food to local villagers as part of the U.S. Army's effort to win the hearts and minds of Afghans. Cole's mission this day was distributing supplies at a recently reopened school shut down by the Taliban prior to the U.S. invasion.
Welcome to the land of the giants sometimes.
In the remote village of Karabagh Bazaar, which, we were told, had just been cleared of landmines.
When we write letters home, we tell them that the people of Afghanistan need school supplies. I look at what we're doing as an extension of our foreign policy of having the people come back from Pakistan and Iran back into Afghanistan. And if we're going to have the people come back, then we need to assist them once they get here to help them get established.
Working with translators like Hayadet was key to Cole's efforts. Later that same day, the duo delivered food to another remote village, all part of the U.S. military strategy to win the hearts and minds of the Afghan people.
And what we're doing by bringing the school supplies and the food now is we're serving as a stopgap until the non-governmental organizations can get here, until they can start taking over our mission.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Nearly 20 years since we met in Afghanistan. After some effort tracking him down,
how y'all doing?
I learned Cole safely returned home. We reconnected last summer at Fort Boonesboro, outside Lexington, Kentucky.
I'm a state park ranger now, and I have like a phobia against trash, because that's one thing they were doing. They would take MRE boxes and put explosives in it, or just roadside trash would all of a sudden become a mine.
Despite the risk, Cole felt his unit's objectives were clear.
Our mission was to help two things: to gain support for us being there and to put in water wells and things like that, and to help gain acceptance with the U.S. forces being there. And then also the bigger picture was to help gain support for the newly established Afghan government.
Cole believes the big picture lost focus when the U.S. invaded Iraq in 2003.
You can only have one main effort, and we tried to have two main efforts, and I think we took our eye off the ball when we did that.
The war in Afghanistan took a personal toll on Cole.
Show me 97 to the boat ramp.
His daughter was just a month old when he deployed, and his absence was difficult for his family back in Kentucky.
My wife, she never accepted me going, and we never recovered from that, and I ended up divorced.
Cole says he made sacrifices to build a better Afghanistan, but that mission was never accomplished.
I think a better way to say it is the mission's over.
Cole says the legacy of the U.S. military in Afghanistan is best measured by what didn't happen.
We were able to keep similar 9/11 attacks from occurring, and I think they would have had we not gone. You know, the training camps would have flourished even more so.
Which is why he feels the U.S. military should have stayed in Afghanistan, pointing to forces stationed in countries like Germany and Japan since World War II as a precedent.
If you leave too soon, you're back too early.
Cole has since retired from the U.S. Army. When we spent time together last summer, he shared he had few regrets about his service in Afghanistan, but he was worried about the fate of his Afghan interpreter, Hayadet.
I'm hoping I can track him down and maybe serve as a sponsor for him back here if he's able to come to the United States.
Why?
I loved him. I mean, he kept us safe.
Cole credits his interpreter with saving the lives of his fellow soldiers and his own. What will you do if you can get him here?
Give him a place to live.
How do you think he would appreciate that?
Oh, he'd love it. We talked about that. We talked about him coming to the United States.
As I left my meeting with Cole, I decided I would try to help him locate Hayadet. The task was daunting. Without a recent known location, or even his full name and birthday, there was not a high level of confidence we would be able to locate him. I spent several weeks communicating with staff at VOA's Afghan language services, using the minimal amount of information I had to see if they could help locate Hayadet in Afghanistan. We were unsuccessful, and the effort ended when much of VOA's staff left Afghanistan as the Taliban regained control. Interpreters like Hayadet were invaluable to American forces. As the U.S. military withdrew, many of those Afghans left behind feared for their lives. VOA's Carolyn Prasuti spoke to several interpreters engaged in a dangerous effort to survive until they could flee.
Najib could be here, or he could be here or here. He moves from city to city for safety from the Taliban. For 11 years, he worked as an interpreter for U.S. Special Forces, braving firefights across Afghanistan.
In Logar province, in Kabul, a lot of these places, Nuristan, Kunar, Nangarhar province.
Najib has awards for his shrapnel wounds and for saving the lives of 2 Army captains.
They saved me, I saved them, because we are teammates.
In 2010, because of his job with the Americans, the Taliban kidnapped Najib's 9-year-old son and asked for ransom.
They know I'm working with the American forces, and they are infidel, and you are also infidel because you are working with them and you providing all kind of help to them.
The Afghan police rescued his son a few weeks later in a gun battle with his kidnappers. He says they killed an older son a few months ago. Now Najib is trying to save his own life after cell phone threats from the Taliban.
They tell me they know my place, where I'm staying, and they were coming after me.
Najib applied for a special immigrant visa, an SIV, more than 3 years ago. The embassy told him processing is delayed. President Biden said this about interpreters like Najib.
There is a home for you in the United States, if you so choose, and we will stand with you just as you stood with us.
But the process is so complicated.
Ismail Khan came to the United States on an SIV 7 years ago. He was an interpreter alongside Najib, whom he nicknamed GPS.
He knew where to go, what route to take, what would be the easiest, where are possible places for them to ambush us, to make sure that they are alert. He tried everything to make sure that his team survive and be successful.
But Khan worries for his colleague.
They are after him. He's gonna get killed if he doesn't get out.
At the time of the U.S. withdrawal, the Biden administration had approved 2,500 special visas for Afghans who assisted the military. 1,000 like Khan settled in the U.S., but as many as 25,000 still remain, including an interpreter we will call James.
And they're about to take over.
James has been denied the special visa because he cannot provide paperwork proof of his employment.
It's really scary. It's really scary because brutal Taliban, they never forgive us.
James told VOA that fears for his safety and that of his family kept him awake at night. And like Najib, he feared for what would happen after the complete withdrawal of U.S. troops from Afghanistan.
Around the same time last year, U.S. Army Brigadier General Michael Greer watched the news at Kabul's airport amid the U.S. withdrawal. He was concerned about the fate of the Afghan translator who worked with him during a 2004 to 2005 deployment, named Hidayat.
We clicked almost immediately. He was a couple of years older than the other interpreters. He made a great first impression. Part of our mission was to go out and speak with village elders and government officials, and we might be gone for 7-9 days at a time. Hidayat was always the one that I chose to go on those missions. He had a real keen sense of situational awareness. I would say similar to street smarts, but in Afghanistan.
Greer recalled one moment in particular when he believes Hidayat's street smarts saved their lives.
We were meeting with some village elders in a kind of an open air market, and there had been some Taliban activity in that area recently. And during the meeting, Hidayat grabbed me by the arm and said, "We must go now."
Greer says Hidayat overheard conversations relaying their position to others outside the area and feared the worst.
He saved our lives, or at least prevented some really bad things from happening on that and on some other occasions as well.
Even though Greer spent almost every day of his deployment with Hidayat, after he departed Afghanistan in 2005, they lost touch. Internet access at that time in Afghanistan wasn't reliable, and Greer had difficulty tracking him down. But a connection with another former Afghan translator on social media, who Greer helped resettle in the United States, surprisingly had Hidayat's contact information and shared it with Greer in 2020.
So I reached out to Hidayat 5 minutes after I got that contact information. He told me he was in Kabul, that he was trying to get a visa.
As the situation in Afghanistan deteriorated amid the withdrawal of U.S. forces, Greer's concern for Hidayat's safety grew.
And one evening I saw a news report that the Taliban were going to stop allowing people to come to the airport. And so I texted Hidayat and I told him to go to the airport immediately, to take the letters that he had and to find an American and show those letters to an American. He didn't respond to that text.
That's because Hidayat, whose full name is Hidayatullah Hisari, and his family of 6 were desperately trying to enter the Kabul airport, which was guarded by U.S. Marines.
I asked one of the U.S. soldiers, I told him, "You need help?" He asked me, "Can you speak English?" I told him, "I'm interpreter. I used to work for the 9 years with the U.S. Army."
Amid the crush of thousands of Afghans trying to flee the country, the Marines accepted Hisari's help.
I did the interpretation for 5 hours. Finally, I asked one of the captain, I told him, "I'm also used to work with the U.S. Army, please help me."
As Hisari stood in a ditch among the throng for nearly 6 hours translating, his own pleas were no different than most trying to enter the airport at that time. But the former Afghan translator had connections.
I think you have to put it in perspective. That 6 hours he was standing in the ditch, it wasn't a ditch, it was a sewage canal.
Just inches away from safety, Hisari made a final, desperate phone call to Greer.
I woke up to the phone ringing, and the caller ID was an Afghan number. I could hear crowd noise, I could hear background static, and then the call dropped. Almost immediately, the phone rang again, and it was Hidayat. He said, "I'm at the gate."
Hisari gave the phone to a nearby U.S. Marine.
I identified myself and told the Marine that Hidayat had a letter from me and that he was who he said he was. The Marines said, I got it, and then the call ended.
It took 2 more days before Hisari texted Greer to confirm they were safely inside the airport. Hisari and his family were among an estimated 116,000 Afghans attempting to flee the country as the Taliban gained control. Another was Najib, one of the interpreters profiled by VOA's Carolyn Prasuti.
Taliban.
When VOA first spoke to Najib last July, he was targeted for death by the Taliban because he was an interpreter for U.S. Special Forces. We did not reveal his face or real name.
They tell me they know my place, where I'm staying, and they were coming after me.
Outside the Kabul airport, Najib's toddler was knocked unconscious in the chaos as they tried to escape. The family of 7 was left behind as the final American planes left Afghanistan, so they returned to their home in Jalalabad.
And that time I was completely hopeless.
Without the government's help, Najib's former officers stepped in with personal money, as did the nonprofit No One Left Behind. But as a wanted man, Najib had to find a way to get his family past 12 checkpoints to return to the capital.
They are looking for me. They doesn't know my family. So I get from car and go around the checkpoints, like 30 minutes, 45 minutes walk around.
The family flew out of Afghanistan and waited in Pakistan for their special immigrant visas. Then last month, finally touching down on U.S. soil, they were greeted by Americans and American money.
It's looked like a big dream, but when I get to the state and I see my friends here and other guys, now I believe I made it.
Najib, an electrical engineer by trade, has found work at a friend's house. He plans to return to school for a certification. He's not the only one headed to school.
Her name is Sahar. She's 3.5 years old. His name is Abu Bakr. He's 6 years old. My other son.
His 5 children have missed a few years of school because of COVID, then because of the Taliban's restrictions on girls. But here...
So they can do anything they want, anywhere they want to go. So they will be free forever.
Najibullah can't believe what he sees in the Seattle air. His first snow.
Tell them, no, Basti.
He calls home to tell his children to look outside. It's one of many firsts for a man who thought he'd be dead by now. And Najib is now free to go anywhere too, even as he looks over his shoulder. It's another first. His first drive with a U.S. license, steering his life freely without death threats.
Once Hidayatullah Hisari and his family were safely inside the Kabul airport, it was just the beginning of a very long journey that would send them around the world. Over the next several months, the Hisari family flew to Germany with only the clothes on their backs and the small amount of personal items they could bring. They processed through Ramstein Air Base and finally reached the United States at a temporary resettlement site at Fort Dix, New Jersey, where they waited as Hisari's application for a Special Immigrant Visa, or SIV, wound its way through the U.S. State Department, only to be rejected. That's when attorney John Bellinger picked up their case.
I've been working on Afghan issues for more than 20 years. When the U.S. decided to leave Afghanistan last year, resulting in the flood of refugees, I was very anxious to help out.
Bellinger became aware of Hisari's visa issues through contact with Army Brigadier General Michael Greer.
Our firm has a very active pro bono practice, and in this case, there were many Afghans who were in need. So I said I would be happy to try to help Mr. Hisari to appeal the initial denial of his visa because he had not provided enough background information about his time as an interpreter in Afghanistan.
Bellinger explained the reason for denying Hisari's visa was the lack of proof he actually worked as an interpreter for the U.S. military.
And of course, it's very difficult to collect all of the records, to contact witnesses, but that's the sort of thing that we as lawyers are able to help with.
While Greer had maintained contact with Hisari, Retired U.S. Army Major Charles Brian Cole was in Kentucky, still unable to trace his long-lost Afghan interpreter, Hayadet.
After I saw the collapse of the Afghan government and the takeover by the Taliban, I really worried about him and his family because, you know, we were high profile, and I'm sure he worked for in other capacities, a high profile position, and you know, his work with us probably wasn't viewed favorably with the Taliban.
Then in December, Cole received a phone call, thanks to a small but important gesture in the last moments they were together in Afghanistan almost 2 decades earlier.
When I left Hayadet, I gave him a letter of introduction, and he had produced that letter to show that he had worked with us. So this immigration attorney from Washington, D.C. contacted me.
That attorney was working with Bellinger and his firm to make contact with a number of potential contacts who could help with Greer's interpreter, Hisari's case.
My associates worked extremely hard to try to find these names.
That's when it became clear that the man Cole affectionately referred to as Hayadet, which Greer knew as Hidayat, was actually the same person, Hidayatullah Hisari, who worked for both officers at different times in Afghanistan. Cole explained to the attorneys trying to help Hisari, not only could he personally vouch for him and the work he did for the U.S. military, he had video proof. Hisari and Cole are seen working together in this original footage I gathered in 2002 during my first coverage assignment to Afghanistan for the American Forces Network.
There he was, working with me, and if you'll see footage, I mean, we were covering quite a bit of civil affairs. He's literally my right-hand man.
Justice says about your school.
The footage of that video showed him actually in the classroom serving as an interpreter with me, and also with passing out relief supplies that we couldn't have done without him.
Certainly if there were videos that were done at the time, perhaps that could be helpful as well. This is certainly a well-documented story.
Bellinger says the outpouring of support by those Hisari worked with is boosting their efforts to finally secure his special immigrant visa.
When we reached out to all of the people who he had helped, they all jumped to try to help him, to say, what can I provide, and wrote really very moving letters on his behalf.
This is the letter from 6 November 2002.
While Hisari's application continues to wind its way through the appeal process, he and his family have settled near relatives in Clearwater, Florida.
I never thought it would be this long or under these circumstances, but I think it's great. I think it's great what we've done to get him settled here.
How do you feel right now?
I feel great. I feel kind of anxious to see him and see how things are going, but it feels like it's coming full circle from when I first met him there in Bagram Airfield. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I'm in your parking lot. I'm trying to figure out which is your building.
Yeah, I'm behind you.
Oh, man.
After being separated for nearly 20 years, and after months of agonizing uncertainty, Cole made the 11-hour drive from Kentucky to Florida for a long overdue reunion.
Man, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you. I'm glad you're here. Man,
thanks a lot.
Boy, it's sure been a struggle.
Yeah,
man.
long time.
Time. When we worked together in Afghanistan in 2002, his son was about the same age, about 6 months old as my daughter was when I was there. So it's kind of neat to see him now as a 20-year-old grown man.
After 20 years, we meet him here. I'm very happy. I'm very happy with this. Yeah, this is a long time. He is my best friend.
As he and his family adjust to life in the United States, Hisari is concerned for those left behind living under Taliban rule.
Most of the people, they lost their work, their job, and everything. The people is poor right now. They have no salary, no food, and nothing.
While Hisari's flight from Afghanistan to the United States has been difficult and uncertain, today he is settling into a new apartment and a new job.
Thank you. It all comes from the heart. All right.
Thankful for the opportunities made possible by the assistance of those he once served and protected, like Greer and Cole.
Great guy, and I would do anything I could to help him.
I think he's more honorable than about anybody I've ever met or worked with.
The U.S. State Department believes as many as 60,000 Afghans and their family members who worked alongside U.S. forces We're still waiting for immigrant visas to the United States in the months after the Taliban took control of the country. The total number of interpreters, like the ones we've profiled in this program, who have successfully reached the United States is unknown at this time. Thanks for joining us for this special edition of The Inside Story. I'm Kane Fairbaugh. You can connect with us on Facebook and Instagram at VOA News. And you can visit our website anytime at voanews.com. See you next week for The Inside Story.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
As a home or business owner, it can be tough to find a painting company that you can rely on. Look no further. Hi, I'm Courtney Hughes, owner of 360 Painting West Houston, your go-to painting company for residential and commercial needs. 360 Painting's mission is simple. We want to provide you with the highest quality finish and the best painting experience possible. Our company's residential and commercial painting services are founded on 3 core values. First, quality. We ensure the use of premium paints, high-quality finishes, and proven painting methods. Second, professionalism. We are committed to professional and responsive painting services. We coordinate and plan projects around your schedule and will treat your property with the utmost respect. And lastly, customer service. Your satisfaction is our #1 priority. So before laying a single brushstroke, we will make sure that we understand your vision for your home or office, and we'll do all that we can to paint that vision into reality. We strive to complete every project to your specifications, and we ensure professional, accountable, and reliable service from the first brushstroke to the last. So the next time that you need your home or business painted, give us a call for your free estimate at 713-829-1581.
Bienvenidos a Interio Bar Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interio, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interio, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurarán una noche que nunca olvidarás. Te esperamos de 9:30 a 2 de la mañana. Interio, donde la diversión nunca se detiene.
Hey, this is Michael Rager, the host of Biz Talk TV with Michael Rager. Make sure you join us every day, 5 p.m. Central Time, on all Now Media channels and social media platforms.
Así debe de ser, siempre sencillo, las cuestiones de economía, finanzas y negocios explicados con peras y manzanas en torno al dinero, lunes a viernes, 10 de la mañana. Now Media, ahí nos vemos.
Tell me, are you looking to sell a house or buy a home? Hi, I'm Michelle Briggs, and your real estate needs are my priority. With over 2 decades worth of experience within the real estate industry, I know I can help. Whether you're selling a house and moving on to the next chapter or buying a home to create generational wealth for your family, I am the realtor for you. Call me now at 713-256-5465 and let me handle all of your real estate needs.
Bienvenidos a Interior Bar Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interior, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interior, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurará